Hello everyone, welcome you all for the lecture session on the subject of Design of Machine Elements 1 having a subject code of 18ME52. In the previous session we concluded with respect to the design of power screws which comes under module 3. So coming for the next portion under module 3 which is for all about design of temporary joints. So in that we should learn with respect to two different type of temporary joints which are the knuckle joint and the cotter joint. So before coming for the design procedure with respect to the knuckle joint or what is knuckle joint, let us get familiarized with a term called as temporary joint. Any machine element which is used to connect two or more parts, they are called as fasteners, or a machine element that is used to connect between two or more machine elements, we are going to call it as the fasteners. The process of joining two or more parts together, we are going to call it as fastening. So the process we are going to call it as a fastening, and any machine element that connects between the two or more parts, we are going to call it as fasteners. In that fasteners or in the fastening, we have two different types of category. One is called as permanent fastening, the other one is called as temporary fastening. What is this permanent fastening? So under this permanent fastening, once the parts are joined, they cannot be disassembled again, or the fasteners cannot be bring back again. For example, the welded joints, the riveted joints are the typical example for the permanent fastening, or it is also called as permanent joints. Once they are fastened together, they cannot be separated unless it is acted upon by huge force. Okay. So coming for the other type of the fastening, which is the temporary joint. So how do we define the temporary joint? It's a type of a fastening which can be where the parts can be assembled or disassembled very easily when they are connected with the help of the fasteners. Whereas in the case of permanent fastening, we cannot assemble and disassemble the parts again and again, it's permanent. In the case of temporary, we can assemble and disassemble the parts that are connected with the help of the fasteners. The typical examples for the temporary fastening are the nut and bolt, the stud and the nut, the keys, the screws, the cotter. So all this comes under the category of the temporary joints. So under those temporary joint, we have two good examples. One is the knuckle joint and the other one is the cotter joint. These two are used for the specific applications. So coming for the first type, which is the knuckle joint, which has been preferred in our syllabus. This knuckle joint you have already studied in your lower semester classes under the subject of computer aided machine drawing, where we have just drawn the sketch with respect to the knuckle joint, but we have not solved or we have not designed the knuckle joint. What is this knuckle joint, or where we can see how the construction of the knuckle joint takes place? See, the knuckle joint is a device which is used to connect between two axes when they coincide or they lie along the same plane. When the axes are along the same line, we can make use of the knuckle joint in order to connect between those two rods or those two parts. These are used in order to transmit the tensile force. The knuckle joints are preferred in order to transmit the tensile force. They also offer some amount of limited angular moment for the movement. So they are used to connect between the two axes. They also offer some of the limited angular moment. Coming for the applications where I can see this knuckle joint. This knuckle joint or the joints can be seen in the tie bars of the trusses or in the links of the suspension bridges. The knuckle joints finds their applications in the links of the suspension bridges. Even in our links of the bicycle chain, we can see the application of the knuckle joint, or they are also used in the fulcrum for the levers. So the levers are used to connect, is it not? Where there we can see the fixed point, the fulcrum point. So there also we can find the application of the knuckle joint. Coming for the construction of the knuckle joint. Basically, the knuckle joint consists of three different parts, where there is no separate parts. The rod that we are supposed to connect itself will become the parts of the knuckle joint. For example, there are two rods. Imagine there is a rod B and the rod A, and you are supposed to connect between these two rods, which are rod A and rod B. So this rod itself will be made into the parts of the knuckle joint, and these two are connected with the help of a knuckle pin. So this is the construction with respect to the knuckle joint. What are the parts then, or for what forum the rods are made? So here the rod B, or we can say we have two different rods, rod A and rod B. The rod B will be formed to an end which is called as an eye end. Basically, this diameter of the rod is enlarged, having certain thickness, and it has an halo in between. So this type we are going to call it as eye end, or one end of the rod is formed to the form of an eye end, whereas the other end of the rod, that is in the rod A, it is formed into double eye end, or it is also called as fork end. This eye end gets fit inside this fork end, where these two are held together with the help of the knuckle pin. So this knuckle pin will be inserted between these two, and this will hold the fork end and the eye end of the knuckle joint. So this is with respect to the construction of the knuckle joint. So basically the knuckle joint consists of three different parts, where the eye end, fork end held together with the help of a knuckle pin. So now let us go for the design. How I can design this eye end, knuckle pin, or the fork end? By considering a typical problem straight away. I am going to explain the design procedure together by designing the knuckle pin for the given problem. So to begin with the first problem, at the end of the session I am going to add the design procedure in detail, but right now let us take the problem straight away and try to design one by one. Each one of the part has to be designed completely. So to begin with the first problem, what they have given. So design a knuckle joint. We are going with the design of a knuckle joint to connect two round rods of 42 millimeter diameter. The ultimate strength of the rod in tension, it is given by 420 megapascal. The ultimate compression and the shear stresses for the material are 510 megapascal and 306 megapascal respectively, and by taking the factor of safety of 6. And remember, the knuckle joints are not at all preferred when they are subjected for the power transmission. Imagine these two rods or the shafts are subjected for the power transmission, then we cannot go with the knuckle joint. They are just used in order to connect between the two rods. No power transmission takes place in the case of either the knuckle or the cotter joint. So coming for the problem, we are supposed to design a knuckle joint. We know we have three different parts to design. To connect two round rods of 42 millimeter diameter. So they have given the rod diameter. Coming for the solution, let us list down the data. So they have given the data, the diameter of the rod, which we are going to denote it by the letter D. So they have given the rod end diameter. So how much the rod end diameter? It is 42 millimeter. it is 42 millimeter. Generally in the problem they are going to give us the tensile force for which the knuckle joint is subjected, then we are supposed to determine the diameter. Whereas in this particular problem they have only given the rod diameter, we are supposed to calculate how much amount of tensile force that this rod can sustain, vice versa. In the problem they might give you the load, you are supposed to calculate the diameter. Here they have given the diameter, let us calculate the load. And they have also specified the type of the material in which the knuckle joint is made. They have not mentioned the name of the material, but they have given the properties of the material in terms of the ultimate stresses of that particular material. So what is the data they have given? The ultimate strength of the rod in tension is 420 megapascal. So the ultimate tensile strength is given by 420 megapascal. Ultimate compression and shear stresses for the material are given by 510 megapascal and 306 megapascal. Let us list on that data also. The compression strength is given by 510 megapascal. Similarly, I have the shear stress for the material which is given by 306 megapascal, and I am supposed to design by considering the factor of safety of 6. Whenever we are designing the knuckle joint or the cotter joint, ensure that we are taking a suitable amount of factor of safety. Don't go with a 2 or a 2.5. Just assume the value to be of between 4 to 6 or 8. So here they are only given in the problem that the factor of safety value to be maintained is 6. So I am writing that value. Do I need to design for the ultimate stresses of the material? No, we should never design for the ultimate stress of the material. We should always do for the allowable stresses. We should consider the allowable stresses of the material and then design for that. So that becomes the first step in the problem. So what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to calculate the allowable tensile stresses, allowable compression and the allowable shear stress. How do I do that? So we know that the factor of safety N is equals to the ultimate stress divided by the allowable stress. So from the fundamentals we have understood this concept, is it not? Whether it could be ultimate tensile or compression or shear, but this relation will remain same. Now what I want is the allowable tensile stress. So what I will do is, so the sigma allowable T, or I will just directly write sigma T is equals to sigma ut divided by factor of safety. Do I know the ultimate tensile strength? Yes, they have given in the problem, it is 420 megapascal. So 420 divided by the factor of safety, I am going to get the sigma T value. 420 divided by 6 will give us the value of 70 megapascal. So it is 70 megapascal, or it is also equal to 70 Newton per millimeter square. Now again I am supposed to calculate the compressive stress, ultimate compressive stress to the sigma C. This is tensile stress. So what will be the compressive stress? So FOS N is equal to ultimate compression strength divided by the factor of sigma C, that is allowable stress due to compression. So what I want is sigma C. Sigma C is equals to sigma UC divided by N. What is sigma UC? Sigma UC is 510 divided by the factor of safety is 6. So how much is the value? 510 divided by 6 will give us the value of 85 megapascal. So the compressive strength of this particular material sigma C is 85 megapascal. Similarly for the shear, so the allowable shear stress, which is denoted by tau. So the tau is equals to tau ultimate divided by the factor of safety. Tau ultimate is 306 divided by factor of safety is 6. So the value of the tau is 51 megapascal. 51 megapascal. So from the given data in the problem, we have identified the allowable stresses, that is the shear stress, the compressive stress as well as the tensile stress, having the diameter of 42 millimeter. With these fundamentals, I am supposed to design each part. What is the first step in any of the problem? The step 1 or the common step that has to be followed in each of the problem is such that I should go with determining the diameter of the rod for the given load. But here they have given us the diameter. So what I can do is I am supposed to calculate the load. Why this particular rod itself? So in the entire sketch we can observe that this is where the failure is more likely to occur, or the diameter is of lesser value compared to other things. So we can expect the failure to be at the rod itself beginning. So we can state that the first step is to ensure the safety of this rod. So the step 1 is the design of rod. Design of rod. So in the step 1, I know that this rod is subjected for what type of force? It is subjected for the tensile forces, is it not? So what is the equation I can make use of? I can make use of the strength equation for the rod. Even though if you consider the failure of this particular rod, it will be a solid structure itself, is it not? So the strength of the rod, it is subjected for the tensile load. So the type of stress that is developed will be tensile stress. So sigma T will be equals to load divided by area. It is equals to load divided by area. What is the area? Area I know it is a solid, so pi by 4 into d square, where d is the diameter of the rod. Here, do I know the tensile stress? Yes, I know the tensile stress. Do I know the diameter? Yes, they have given in the problem, 42 millimeter. So the only unknown is the load, that the tensile load that is acting on this member. So I can easily determine that. So carry out that. So sigma T, I know, or I will just substitute, sigma T is equals to P into pi by 4 of d square. What I want is P, load, is equals to sigma T into pi by 4 into d square. So this equation is readily available in the data handbook. So which is under equation 4.19a, page number 67. If you get confusion in the problem, how to begin with? Just go for the design data handbook under page number 67 and 68. So under the page number 68, we have the entire sketch of the knuckle joint. So looking into that figure, you will easily understood what are the parameters that I should determine. Try to calculate all the parameters that are present in that particular sketch. Similarly, in order to do the calculations, in order to follow the relations, under page number 67, we have all the equations. So the referring page number 67 and 68 becomes very important while designing the knuckle joint. So now here I am supposed to calculate the load that is carried by the knuckle joint. So do I know the sigma T value? I know sigma T value is of 70 megapascal. So it is 70 into pi by 4 into, what is the diameter? So the diameter is 42. So it is 42 square. If I calculate this, the tensile load that is carried by the knuckle joint is given by load P will be equals to 96.98 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton. So this is the amount of load that is carried by this particular knuckle joint, or this is the amount of force that is applied onto the knuckle joint. If in the problem, if they had given you the load that is carried by the knuckle joint, similar step, but the unknown would have been the diameter. We should have calculated the diameter of the rod. So the step 1 in the design of knuckle joint will becomes the design of rod. We have designed the rod. Now what is the next step? The step 2. Step 2 is all about design for knuckle pin. Design for knuckle pin. We are supposed to design for the knuckle pin. So this is the knuckle pin. This is the knuckle pin where I have also written the free body diagram. How the forces will be acting on the knuckle pin. The knuckle pin basically consists of the diameter D1 and it has a head having a diameter of C and having a thickness of E. So the head, the diameter is given by the term C and the thickness is indicated by the term E, and the knuckle pin diameter is given by the notation D1. Looking into the sketch, we can clearly state that this knuckle pin is undergoing the double shear failure. Imagine we have the fork end, we have the eye end. When this is inserted inside and the knuckle pin is inserted in order to hold these two and the load tries to pull, this knuckle pin will be undergoing the double shear because of these two load at once and these two load at the second part. So it is undergoing double shear. So what is the design equation that we are supposed to make use of? It is the shear strength. It is undergoing shear failure, so we are supposed to make use of the shear strength equation. So what is the equation? What is the general equation for the shear stress? Resisting strength or the resisting shear stress, which is denoted by the term tau. So the tau will be equals to load divided by area. Is it undergoing single shear or double shear? So it is undergoing double shear. So what will happen for the area? It will be 2 times of the A. It is undergoing double shear failure. So the area is 2 times of A. What is the area now? So the area is pi by 4 into d1 square. Area is pi by 4 into d1 square. Substitute the values in the equation, and what is the unknown in this equation? The unknown is d1. Rearranging the term, I am going to obtain P is equals to tau into 2 into area is pi by 4 into d1 square. So this 2 ones are 2 2s are. So P is equals to tau into pi into d1 square. And this equation, it is pi by 2 into d1 square. This equation is available in the data handbook. It equation 4.20a, page number 67. So in the examination, you can directly go for this particular equation, no need of this step. Just directly write design for the knuckle pin, resisting shear stress, that is tau, will be equals to, or make use of this particular equation. Now do I know the load? I have calculated the load, which is 96.98 into 10 to the power of 3 is equals to, what is the shear stress of the material? It is 51 megapascal. So it is 51 into pi by 2 into d1 square. So in the entire equation, so the diameter is the unknown. You can easily calculate the diameter of the knuckle pin. So the diameter of knuckle pin, after doing the calculation, we have obtained the diameter of the knuckle pin to be of the value 34.79 millimeter. You can approximate that value for 35 millimeter. You can approximate that value for 35 millimeter. Now I have identified the diameter d1. I have identified the diameter D. I have identified the load P. So what is the knuckle pin, other two values that we are supposed to identify? The diameter of the knuckle pin head, the thickness of the pin head. So in order to do this C and E, if you refer the data handbook in the page number 68, we have a table where they have given the relationship in terms of the diameter D. For each of the parameters, whether you consider the width or the thickness of the fork end, eye end, all the relationships are expressed in terms of D. Making use of those relations, I can easily calculate the value of C and E. So the diameter of the pin head, which is denoted by the term C, is given by 1.5 times of D. You can refer to that particular page of 68 in the design data handbook, where they have given the value of C to be of 1.5 times of D. So what is this 1.5 times of D? D is 42. So the value will come around 63 millimeter. The value will come around 63 millimeters. Then we are also supposed to calculate the thickness of this pin head. So the thickness of the pin head is given by thickness of pin head, that is denoted by the term E. The thickness of the pin head E is given by D divided by 2, and this expression is available in the data handbook. So what is D? D is 42 divided by 2 will give us the value of 21 millimeter. 21 millimeter. Now I have calculated the D1 C E, which is with respect to the knuckle pin. So the knuckle pin design is completed. What is the other two parts that is left out? We are supposed to design for the eye end as well as for the fork end. Now let us move for the design of eye end. Now let us see the design of an eye end. If we look into the sketch of an eye end, here we have the diameter of the rod D, enlarged diameter, then we have the portion of the halo section, where inside this we are going to fit the knuckle pin. We are supposed to determine what is this S and the major diameter of this particular eye end, because we know the inner diameter, which will be the diameter of the knuckle pin. So how do I do that? Coming for the design of eye end. So the enlarged diameter of the rod end, which is denoted by the term S, can be calculated by taking a value of 1.2 times of D. This again, if you refer the page number 68 in the data handbook, we have the table where we are going to get the dimension for C, E, S. So based on that, this S will be equals to 1.2 times of the diameter D. So the diameter of the rod is given in the problem, 42 millimeter. Substitute the value, we are going to obtain the enlarged diameter value, which is of 51 millimeter. Now I am supposed to calculate the thickness of this particular eye end. How much is the thickness of this particular eye end, which is denoted by the term F. So this is denoted by the term F. How much is the thickness of this particular eye end? In order to do that, assume this particular sketch, you have inserted the knuckle pin. So when the knuckle pin under operation, this particular portion will be subjected for the compressive stress. Is it not? I have a knuckle pin over here, and under the operation, this particular portion will be subjected for the compression or the crushing strength. So based on that, crushing stress, which is generally denoted by sigma C, will be equals to, the general equation is load divided by area. What is the area of this rectangular portion? The rectangular portion is given by the F, which is the thickness, into the diameter of the knuckle pin. So the knuckle pin diameter is how much? D1. So it is D1 into F. The resisting area, if you considered this as the portion, this particular will indicate as the diameter D1 and this is indicates as the thickness F, and this is undergoing a failure because of the crushing strength, So which is given by sigma c is equals to load divided by D1 into F, and this equation is available in the data handbook 4.21c under page number 67. In the entire equation, I know sigma c, we have calculated the value 85, I know the load, we have calculated which is 96.98 into 10 to the power of 3, and I know the D1, the diameter of the knuckle pin, which is of 35 millimeter. So the only unknown is the thickness of the eye end. So substituting the values, I have obtained the thickness of the eye end, which is 32.59 or 33 millimeter. As I said, the dimensions can also be obtained with the help of the table that has been provided in the data handbook. If I look into that particular table, they have suggested that the thickness value F should be of 1.5 times of the D, where the D is the diameter of the rod. If I do that, I am going to obtain the value of 63 millimeters. So out of the calculated value and the standard value, we are supposed to make use of the bigger value. So I am adopting the F value, the thickness value to be of 63 millimeter, Now I have done with this F. Now I am supposed to calculate the major diameter of this particular eye end. This eye end is an hollow section. So how do I do that? So consider the shear stress. Why shear stress? When this eye is inserted inside the fork and the pin is fixed, when the force, the tensile force is acting, this eye is likely to undergo failure because of the shear. Similarly, like this itself, here we have the force, here we have the applied force. This is the force diagram. When the force is applied, this particular portion will be pulled out or it is undergoing the shear failure. So we are making use of the shear stress equation, which is generally given by load divided by area. What is the area then? I have the major diameter D1, which is denoted by the D1. I have the minor diameter, that is the diameter of the knuckle pin, small d1. The major diameter is denoted by D, the knuckle pin diameter is denoted by the small d1, and the thickness value is F. So the resisting area, it's basically something like this. So I want this particular area minus this area into the thickness will give us the value of the eye end area. So the area is D minus D1 into F. F is my thickness, D is the major diameter, and this D1 is the diameter of the knuckle pin. I know all the values except this major diameter D. Substitute and calculate the diameter. So the tau value given in the problem 51 megapascal. The load we have calculated previously 96.980 into 10 to the power of 3. D we don't know. D1 35 millimeter, F 63 millimeter. We have substituted all the values and we have obtained the diameter or the major diameter is of 66 millimeter. Now we have calculated the dimensions, but we are supposed to check for the stresses whether whatever the dimension that we have obtained is it sustainable for the given load or for the given diameter. So the next step in any cases while designing is to check for the stresses. How the failure is likely to occur? Because of the tensile force, the tensile in nature. So let us try to calculate the tensile stress that is induced because of this particular load, and if that particular load is less than the allowable stresses, then we can say that it is under safe. Similarly, because of the crushing strength, let us calculate how much amount of crushing stress is developed, and if it is well within this particular value, we can state that the design of I end is safe. We have calculated the dimension of F and D, but we are supposed to check for the stresses. So the first step that I have done is strength of an I, which is given by sigma T is load by area. We know the area D minus D1 into F, which is available in the equation 4.21b under page number 61. So sigma T, that is what we are supposed to calculate, the induced value. P value is 96.98 into 10 to the power of 3. D, just now we have calculated 66. D1 35 millimeter we have calculated, and F is 63 millimeter. So substituting the value, I have obtained 49.65. What is the allowable stress for the material? It is 70 megapascal. So this 49 is very lesser than the 70. We can state that the design is safe under tensile strength. What about for the crushing strength? Considering the compressive load. Considering the compressive load. We know the expression sigma C is equals to P divided by D1 into F. Here we have written P divided by D1 into F, load by area. So the load is 96.98 into 10 to the power of 3. D1 is the diameter of the knuckle pin, that is given by 35. F is thickness, which is given by 63. So sigma C value after calculation we have obtained 43.98. Is it lesser than the allowable compressive strength? Yes, it is lesser than. 43.98 is lesser than 85, or we can say that the induced stress because of the dimensions that we have calculated is lesser than the allowable stress, hence the design is safe. So we are done with the design of I end and the knuckle pin. We are left out with the design of the fork end. Now let us see for the design of the fork end. Now let us go for the design of the fork end. Here we have calculated the load value P, we know the diameter D, we know the enlarged diameter rod end, that is S, which is 1.2 times of D basically. Now we are supposed to calculate the thickness of this particular member or thickness of this particular fork end. Here also clearly observe, we have the load which is acting over here, and we have two different sections, and when they are attached, when all the three are assembled, that is the I end is inserted and the knuckle pin is inserted, and when the tensile force is exerted, we can observe the failure likely to occur as a shear failure under two regions, where load P, you can clearly see it is undergoing double shear. The fork end is undergoing double shear. If I consider that condition of the shear failure, I can easily calculate this thickness B, whereas this diameter will be of the same thickness, whereas here we are supposed to identify. So now the shear stress or the design for the fork end, Now we understood that it is undergoing the double shear failure. So the shear stress that is developed in the fork is given by tau is equals to load divided by 2 times of the area. What is the 2 times of the area? 1 and 1. It is undergoing double shear. So it is 2 times the area. What is my area? Area will be equals to, this is the diameter of the pin and we have the major diameter. Basically it's an hollow section. So hollow will be having 2 different diameter, the major and the minor diameter, and then the thickness. So that is what we have written here. The major diameter minus diameter into the thickness of the fork end. So here I know the tau value 51 megapascal. I know the load 96.98 into 10 to the power of 3. 2 times is because of the double shear. I know capital D and the small d1. The only unknown in the problem is B. So substituting, or you can just transfer this B to the left hand side and substitute all other values. We are going to obtain the value of B to be of 31 millimeter for the given load condition. But in the table, again we have the relation for B also, that is given by 0.7 times of D. If I do that, I am going to get the value to be of 32 millimeter. There is no much difference between 31 and 32. Still, we are adopting the major diameter of major thickness value, that is of 32 millimeter. Here for F also, we first calculated the value, and then with the help of the table, that is 1.5 times of D, we checked the value and we adopted the major thickness. Similarly, here also we calculated the value, and by referring for the table, we know the standard relation and we adopted the B to be of 32 millimeter. Now the only unknown was here was the thickness we have determined. We are supposed to check for the stresses. We have just identified the dimensions. We are supposed to check for the stresses. What is the first thing that we are supposed to check? Whether it is able to sustain the tensile load that is applied onto the fork end. So for that, check for the stresses. Check for the stresses. First I have considered for the tensile load. Due to tensile load, the tensile stress sigma T is given by load divided by area. We know the area now, and it is 2 times of this because it is double area. So 2 times of D minus D1 into B. Substitute all the calculated values and check for the induced stress. So the sigma T, we are substituting the values, we have obtained 48.8 Newton per millimeter square. That is the induced tensile stress because of the dimensions that we have calculated, which is lesser than the allowable tensile stress, that is of 70 megapascal. So we can clearly state that the design is safe. Similarly, this will be undergoing, this particular portions, because of the knuckle pin that we have inserted, will be undergoing the crushing strength or the compressive load. So again we are supposed to check whether that is suitable. So that is due to the compressive load, I have sigma C. Sigma C is equals to load divided by the area. Area is this particular rectangular areas. So the area is B into the D1. There are 2 different areas here that we are supposed to consider. This is one, this is one. Here where the knuckle pin is inserted, and this is my thickness B, and the diameter is with respect to the pin. So it is 2B into D1. 2 is because of 2 different areas. So 2B is 32 into D1 is 35. After doing the calculation, we have obtained 43.29 megapascal. The allowable compressive stress for the given problem is 85 megapascal. So the obtained value is lesser than the allowable stress, allowable compressive stress, that is 85 megapascal. So we can clearly state that the design is safe. Design is safe. So in each of the problem, we are supposed to design the knuckle joint in a similar fashion, where the first step was to design the rod, second it was supposed to design the knuckle pin, then we went for the design of the eye end, then the design of the fork. While designing the eye end and the fork end, it becomes essential in order to check for the stresses that they have developed. It gives us whether the design is safe or not. So in the next class, let us begin with the cotter joint. Thank you.